Wonderful. All right. Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. We're super excited to be able to join you again this evening to bring you some more information about things that are super relevant to you. Seems like menopause has really been a kickoff subject in our community lately. So we are really excited. We have a guest with us tonight, Kim, and she's going to dive into menopause and menopause symptoms a little more so that we can bring you information so that you are empowered with knowledge and know what to do to have your body feel the best. So welcome, Kim. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for this. I think our community is super excited for this. So we will dive right in. So, Kim, menopause is like a super niche well, it's not really a condition, but part of life. And
Mhm.
I'm just kind of interested, how did you arrive in, working with this niche, wanting to bring more information to these women?
So I first started off just as a health coach for women, and then I decided I was going to specialize in menopause because as I started having symptoms in perimenopause, I started talking to my friends, and my friends were like, "I don't know anything. I'm the same way. I don't know what's going on." And it was like, I don't know anything either. But menopause isn't something new. So I was like, why don't we know anything? Why isn't there information out there? So I just thought, I want to be able to help women not just survive, but thrive as we transition into this new part of our lives. So that's kind of how I got into it.
No, I think that is super valid because you're right. There is such a limited amount of information. Like you could even go and ask your mom, and most of the time she won't have
Yeah.
anything positive to tell you. And that leaves you really frustrated. I know for myself, like getting help from a doctor it took, I think it
Mm,
was 5 years. And
yes.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And especially like if you go to your gynecologist and you're like, okay, I'm starting to have these symptoms and they don't know, like I went to my gynecologist, I started having chronic UTIs
Mhm.
and he just kept giving me antibiotics and I'd get over it and then I'd have another one. And then he'd give me more antibiotics. I was like, I can't continue like this. Then they sent me to a urologist and they did all kinds of testing on me and everything came back normal. And it was like, there's something not normal here. This is not right. And why my gynecologist couldn't just be like, okay, I see that you're starting in to having, perimenopausal symptoms. He couldn't tell me that.
It is
It didn't
crazy.
make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. And that's crazy though that they went from giving you antibiotics to sending you to a urologist when really it was your hormones.
Mhm. Yes.
That is insane. But I know it happens all of the time. I can't even tell you how many women I talk to that same kind of a situation has happened to. And ladies, if you're joining us live tonight and you have questions, please drop them into the chat, and we will make sure that we get those answered for you because that's part of why we're bringing the value here this evening. Um, yeah, so that's super. Well, I wasn't having urinary tract infections, but I knew like mentally I felt completely unstable. I was irritable, I was
Mhm.
forgetful, I had brain fog, I was still pretty young and I had no energy. Like by
Yes.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was completely dead and ready to like just go to sleep, and I couldn't because I had 4 kids. And I went to so many doctor appointments, and the last doctor appointment I actually walked out of. She was like, "Well, that's just the way that things are, and here's a prescription for Prozac." And I was like, "Cool, now I really want to kill myself. Like this is not the
Right.
solution I was looking for."
Yes. It just doesn't make any sense why there's no education at all.
No, no, there's not. And it's not that we don't have any education. The healthcare system doesn't even have any education,
Yes. Yes.
right? So Kim, do you want to share like what some of the like everyone's familiar, like we know that night sweats and hot flashes and irritability can all come from
Mhm.
the perimenopausal hormones. Do you want to share some of like the lesser known symptoms?
One of the things I've heard recently is itchy skin.
Oh yeah, I have that. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't had that issue, so
Uh-huh.
I just thought that was really intriguing. Some people like their hands are really itchy.
Mhm.
One person said her ankles get really itchy only at bedtime when she gets in bed. And I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. Um, I think people, well, maybe not. Cardiovascular disease is something that, our chances of having that greatly increase going into menopause and being postmenopausal, even if we've not had that issue, earlier in life. So it's something we have to think about. Um, Alzheimer's, a lot of women have Alzheimer's, and that's because we just don't have that protection from our hormones anymore. You know, just it just the hormones affect every system, head to toe.
Mhm.
So, it's crazy to think like, okay, because like you said, you had brain fog, so like you have the brain fog, but then like, without that protection, we can develop Alzheimer's. We have like the cardiovascular thing, weight gain. Some women have like the drier skin and hair, lower libido, depression, anxiety, and they're things that, they didn't have before.
Right, right, 100%. I think something else that gets overlooked a lot is, like you said, we're more at risk for heart disease because of the decrease in hormones. But I think personally, in seeing what we work with, on a nutritional basis with everyone, is that what
Mhm.
it gets overlooked a lot is also the lack of hormones and how it contributes to the high cholesterol and the high
Yes,
blood pressure. And then women are being put on medications for those when that is not really the problem.
yes, it's very true.
Yeah, so those are some interesting symptoms, and like you said, I think there's some that are very often not associated with menopause. And again, it just comes down to lack of education in our healthcare system.
Mhm.
Um, if someone was to come to you and they laid out all of these symptoms, and you're like, pretty confident that it's coming from menopause, what would next steps look like with you?
I think first we would look at what their diet and exercise look like because literally every health issue, it all starts with diet and exercise. So look at, you want a more whole food diet, try to eliminate the processed foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats, and then what are you doing for exercise? Like walking is uh, a very mild exercise, but is fantastic. But we also have to look at strength training because we need to maintain our muscle mass. If we lose all of our muscle, you know, we won't be able to do simple things, get up and down out of a chair, get up off the toilet, things like that. And, we just need to do that progressive overload. Nothing crazy. It's not like we're training for a fitness competition, but we still have to manage that. And then that also will help with our bone density so we don't get osteoporosis. Then I look at their sleep schedule. What does your sleep look like? If they're having night sweats, but they're also on the phone right up until the moment they turn the lights out, can we set up some kind of a sleep routine? Maybe do some meditation, some light stretching, read a book, something, get off the screens, like at least an hour before bed. What does the alcohol and caffeine intake look like? If we can limit that, that oftentimes helps with the hot flashes and night sweats. Are you smoking? You know, or do you want to lose weight? If you lose some weight, that also helps with the hot flashes, night sweats, and then also brings up your energy level. But then also, are you suffering from anxiety? Is it crippling? Is it like something that you can't function? So that might look like, okay, maybe you should see someone, see a therapist. Do you need to, get a prescription? Something like that. If they still can't get their hormones, you know, managed in a way that they can feel comfortable with, maybe they need to see someone to talk about like bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, you know. Um, there's a lot of things and it sounds almost overwhelming, but it's just one step at a time. We just, take it nice and slow and try to start figuring it out and see how things are going.
Right. No, I think that's super valid and such a good reminder too to take things one step at a time. And that way, if you are working without a practitioner or working on your own, you're really
Mhm.
able to identify then what things are helping you and what things are not helping you. Is there
Mhm.
a positive outcome from this? Is it neutral? Was it bad? And then you have that data. Whereas if you're just throwing everything at it at one time, it's really hard
Yes.
to say.
I also find it's helpful for my clients to maybe keep a little journal.
Yes.
How am I feeling today? What am I doing different? So that they can go back and look like a month ago, I was having night sweats, but now I'm not having them as much.
Mhm.
So I see an improvement. I feel a little bit better during the day. I don't have as much brain fog. But it's hard if you just go day to day and you're
Mhm.
not tracking it, then it's kind of hard to quantify what's helping and what's not helping.
Right. No, that's so true. And that's the same like we'll use the journaling, but it's super valid. Like, when clients come in and they're like, well, I don't really want to take progress pictures. Well, that's okay. Maybe we don't take them every week, but let's do take
Mhm.
them because over time you'll be able to see. And it's the same thing with journaling. Like maybe it's a little bit challenging, but in the end, the outcome is so valuable and that data is so valuable. It can really help you in charting your course moving forwards.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, you do a lot of the same practices we do. That's really cool. Identifying things from the root cause. Because, like, if your sleep is all messed up, if you're drinking coffee like 7 times a day, if your food is, 90% carbs and fat, it's all of those things add up too, as far as how your body feels and how it acts and performs.
Yes, it definitely does. Makes so much difference.
Yeah. Um, so let me think here. If someone was coming to you and they had like some more of those irregular symptoms, do you think like it's worth it to kind of try to identify on your own what is going on and supply some nutritional or maybe some supplemental help? Or do you think getting some actual testing done would be best?
I think that we can look into it,
Mhm.
but because we are dealing with like hormonal things and all, I do think that it's valid to also get some testing done. Um, and sometimes we don't get all the information when we start with a client. So maybe they've had something going on long term, but it wasn't so bothersome. And now that they're starting into menopause, it's exacerbated. And it was something that they would have been treated for if they had been with a doctor. So I think that it's valid for me to help them as far as I can, but then I think at a certain point I need to be able to say, okay, you should see someone else that might be able to better help you.
Right.
Because in the end, it's really about getting them to where they feel better.
Right, right, absolutely. And I think that's such a good point. Like we can help up to a point, but without more information, more data, and sometimes without external resources, like sometimes we really do need a prescription, or sometimes we really do need
Mhm.
replacement therapy. And we can't do that. We can refer you out, sure.
Yes.
Um, so one of the things that comes up a lot with menopausal clients is the stress. And I'm sure you see that too. But what are some of the ways that you see that stress, like cortisol production, plays a negative role in the menopause symptoms?
Everywhere.
All
They
kinds
just,
of things.
they just, I have ladies that come and they're just so wound up and they're just like, I don't know what to do. And so like going through some like breathing techniques and let's take some time, let's do meditation, like I can't do meditation. My brain's everywhere. And I get that because I also struggle with it. But if they can just take 5 minutes and it doesn't have to be, sitting on the floor, saying Om. I mean, it's just could be, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and I'm just going to deep breathe. I'm going to look outside at nature or go for a walk. It really does help to calm down the other things, because once that gets going, then everything gets exacerbated, the hot flashes and the brain fog, I can't think, the anxiety. So
Yes, no, 100%. We see that too. And I think a lot of people don't understand is that the decrease in hormones actually elevates the cortisol. So if you're not
yes,
learning good tools to practice stress management, it just makes the whole process so much more challenging.
yes, it really does.
And then we see this a lot, I don't know if you do. So most of our clients, when they come in, yes, they have menopause issues or some other hormone issues, but they're also wanting to lose weight. So they're doing like restrictive dieting, they're doing a lot of exercise.
Mhm.
Do you see that as well?
I do. So um, I like to try to see if I can get them to give me, if they can track their food a little bit
Mhm.
and give me something that I can look at, and then look at what their exercise looks like. A lot of times, if I can get them to step back and just say, okay, and it's counterintuitive, I'm not going to exercise 7 days a week for 90 minutes a day. I'm going to take a rest day. I'm going to go for a walk. I'll do HIIT, I'll do yoga, something like that, and then their food, like protein is so important. They really need to get their protein up. And a lot of times that's a big struggle for them. So how can we just do that incrementally, bring it up?
Yes.
And then that a lot of times once they do that, the mental, oh, I get to take a day off today. It just helps everything overall.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think a lot of them they don't realize that drive to, exercise and diet their way out of this weight gain that's happened is actually just another stress on their already overstressed system. So yes, dialing
Yes,
back the exercise. I love that. And I love you're the first person I've ever talked to, and I love this, that wants to gradually increase protein. Like we have less digestive enzymes right now. So if we go from eating
yes,
30 grams of protein to eating 100, our stomach's going to freak out.
yes.
Yeah.
And they generally feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone this morning and she said, yeah, I'm getting back in the gym. I'm going to start working out again, and I'm going to start eating 130 grams of protein. And I was like, I need more context, because how many grams of protein are you eating right now? If you're only getting like 50 grams of protein, going to 130 is going to feel very overwhelming.
Mhm.
So if we can just set small goals to get up to that point, you're going to be much more successful.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. No, we hear things like that too. Like no exercise, and then they want to go to 5 days a week. And it's not realistic. It just adds more stress. Probably not sustainable long term either. And
Right.
right now, we really, really need to find something that is sustainable.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've spent, so many years and probably decades trying to make our body look a certain way. Like maybe we're not entirely happy with it right now, but we really need to prioritize health. And if we can prioritize our health and hormone balance, the rest will fall into place.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think we also need to kind of let go of, we're our own worst critic.
Oh yeah.
And we grew up with all these negative things. This is how a woman should look. And, then we have all this negative self-talk in our head. Now we're starting to go through menopause, and we're starting to see these things happen. And we can't continue to be like, oh, this is so terrible. I'm so fat. I'm this, I'm that. We need to give ourselves some grace. If we're being intentional, which is what we need to be, especially right now, um, that will get us the success that we want and need.
Right. That is such an excellent, excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. Intentionality and giving yourself grace is huge. Absolutely. Um, all right. So that was really cool. We have some people in the chat, but everyone is just saying hi or agreeing. So that's all right. Thanks for joining us, ladies. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We still have a few more minutes and we'll make sure that we get those answered for you. Um, so um, do you have any like fast fixes that you could share with anyone tonight to help with, any of maybe like the more minor symptoms?
Um, when you go to bed, white pajamas. Um, I started actually just wearing my summer pajamas in the winter, the shorts and all that, light covers, turn your ceiling fan on, uh, glass of ice water on the nightstand. You wake up and you're really hot.
Mm.
Trying to think what else I do. I do really try to tune into my body. I I tend to be more like a type A, like I need to do this, I need to do that. And I try to like get up in the morning and say, okay, what can I do? What's my body ready to do today? Is it lifting or maybe should I do some yoga? And there are days where I feel like, yeah, I should do yoga, but my mind is the whole time going, no, I really don't want to do yoga. I want to go for a run and I want to do a hard run. But then when I do the yoga, when I get up from it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I can start my day now. And I know that I'm going to be able to be productive and not wrecked because I didn't listen to what my body was telling me.
No, I think that's super valid. That's such a great tip because I think like we talked about, a lot of the women are really driven, like they have to complete XYZ because they have to reach this goal by whatever date, which
Mhm.
is sometimes feasible, but often not. And if you can instead give yourself some grace and tune into what your body is telling you. I mean, obviously our body's been talking to us for decades. We're just not very good at
Yes. Yes.
if we can learn to listen to it, again, that's going to be one of those things that over time is going to return, back positive results 10 times for us.
Yes, I agree with that. There's a quote by Tony Robbins that I love, and I remind myself of it a lot. And he says, life is happening for you, not to you. And I think it's really, really important, especially now, that we remember that. Like, this is not like, oh my gosh, this is such a terrible time. I'm going into menopause. This is a new adventure for us. We get to start a new chapter and we get to write our own story. We are in a totally different time of our lives, but menopause is happening, whether or not we want it to. So if we can embrace it and do everything we can, be as proactive as we can enjoy this part of our lives.
That is super powerful because I think most women do not look at this as something to enjoy. But like you said,
Yes,
proactive. Obviously, our doctors, most of them don't know anything. Occasionally, you're lucky and you find a really good doctor, but for most of the world, it seems like doctors just don't know. But if you're proactive and you keep searching or you reach out, like we use an online clinic for all of our clients. They know about menopause, they know about hormone balance. And I'm more than happy to refer however many hundreds of women that want to go there because I know that they can get help. But don't stop being your own advocate for your health
yes,
because this is your health. It's not just you're losing your hormones. It affects, like Kim said, every aspect of your life, from your brain function to your bones. That's your whole body.
yes. And I love what you said at the beginning where you said you walked out of your
Oh yeah.
appointment
Oh my
because yeah, I mean, and sometimes that's what you have to do. Like if you get a doctor that's like, oh yeah, it's fine, let me just give you an antidepressant. That may be what you need, but it may not be what you need. And if you need to find a different doctor, you really need to find a different doctor.
Yes.
Don't let the doctors push you around and tell you, oh no, this is it, and dismiss you.
Right. No, that's so valid. I think something that has helped me in dealing with doctors is remembering that the doctor works for you. You don't owe that doctor.
Right.
You pay them, your insurance company pays them, they work for you. It's not the other way around.
That's right. Don't let them bully you.
No, no, there's plenty of resources and there's plenty of other doctors. All right, I am not seeing any more comments. If I missed something, we'll come back to it later. But I think that is fantastic. And I think that's a really good place to kind of leave off too. We've given you some, some tips, some different symptoms to look out for. We have resources as far as our clinics go. Kim is always happy to talk with you. I'm always happy to have a conversation. So please, if you're struggling, reach out. You're not alone. And we actually know something. So so we'd love to help if we can. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Kim?
No, I think we covered quite a bit. Definitely, if people have questions, they should, like they might walk away from this and think, oh, I wish I would have asked that question. They should definitely come back and ask.
Right. That is always me 900% of the time.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kim. I really appreciate it. I know that our community appreciates it. Thank you, everyone in the community, for watching. We've got some more thank yous coming in, so that's amazing. We were so
Thank
happy to be
you.
able to bring this value to you tonight, and we'll see you again on another week. Thank you.
Bye.